Right now at 5, a Missouri woman is charged with a deadly motorcycle crash that caused the deaths of 4 people.
And I promise you're not watching a copy of yesterday's weathercast, but we've got another warm, muggy day with more pop-up storms this afternoon. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
And the Biden administration announces funding that will help reduce train vehicle collisions.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So yesterday, we ended up with another batch of a few severe thunderstorm warnings with some of the pop-up storm activity. We saw that on Saturday as well in southeast Kansas. Yesterday, parts of southeast Kansas, southwest Missouri did end up seeing that. So what I want to show you guys real quick is what we're looking at and what we look at, and more so what I look at, because, you know, Doug and Sam are our meteorologists. They're in depth into this stuff. There's only so much I can look at. We've got general thunderstorms expected today. That's what was expected on Saturday. That's what was expected yesterday, and that's what's expected today. So if we look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker, there we go. There's that general thunderstorm risk. You can see the legend above you shows where the marginal, the lower end risk is. A low risk, the elevated, the high, the critical. None of those highlighted here. None of these highlighted here yesterday. In fact, the only real severe threat yesterday was highlighted in South Texas. But we ended up with more storm reports out of parts of eastern Kansas and into eastern Tennessee than we got out of the highlighted severe risk down in South Texas. So with our pop-up storms today, we have that possibility that we could see a strong or severe thunderstorm this afternoon. So let's keep that in mind as we head into this afternoon. We go to about noon. We're still looking almost the same as what this data showed yesterday. Right around noon, a couple of stray showers, and by the time we get 1, 2 o'clock, we'll see more of these pop-up storms around the area. Here we are, 4 scattered pop-up storms and thunderstorms through the region. By 6, we start to lose some of that daytime heating, just a little bit of it anyway, and we start to see those storms die out, and they will do so. And then we're actually expecting to be dry tomorrow before we see pop-up storm chances return by Thursday. Quick look, MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line, looking back to the south, looking good so far. And from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400, got ourselves a pretty decent start across the region this morning. Our camera, 7th and Range Line, we're looking all right. Clear skies, 64, dew point up there, 61, humidity 90%. So it does feel a little muggy out there again this morning, and that's how it's going to be through today. A little cooler to the north. We got 60s, Nevada, Fort Scott, Iola, 61, Yates Center, 65 in Parsons, 63 in Pittsburgh, 65 Miami, Neosho, and 64 in Carthage. As we get our morning started, we've got those sunny skies, temperatures into the low 80s and still muggy by late morning. We'll go into the afternoon, again, high stay, upper 80s, some of us lower 90s, and we'll see those pop-up thunderstorm chances return into the afternoon. And as we go into this evening, we are still muggy and partly cloudy to mostly clear, dropping back to the mid-60s tonight. And as we look at the week ahead, we're going to be hot tomorrow, pushing 90, low 90s. Pop-up storms return by Thursday. Hang on with us through the weekend, keeping our temperature still in the 80s. Better chances for storms on Thursday, and then a few more isolated to widely scattered storms Friday into the weekend. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. A woman has now been charged in a deadly motorcycle crash that killed 4 people in Cassville, Missouri on Saturday morning. Teresa Menetsky is charged with DWI. Investigators say she admitted to taking several antipsychotic medications before the crash. Michael Hoffman spoke to a rider who decided not to go at the last minute.
It soaks in more and more every day that, yeah, I could not be here today speaking to you, because if I had gone to ride and do some good for a benefit run, I wouldn't be here today. So somebody up there was watching me.
Police say on Saturday, 4 lives were claimed in a horrific accident with more badly injured. This is the security video just moments before the crash. David Padilla is friends with many of the riders who participated, and his neighbor Bob was on the ride and invited Padilla to join.
And Bob was the 3rd rider, and he told me that this lady crossed the road and hit the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 10th rider, and then the ones 6 through 10 veered off the road or whatever they did to avoid being killed and were injured as well.
Padilla says many people have stepped up to raise money for the families involved, but says because he himself was so close to going, he wanted to throw his own event for the fallen and injured by putting on a concert.
It's going to be hopefully on Saturday, July 15th. I'm going to have it about 10 o'clock in the morning till 8 p.m. at night. Should be about a 10-hour event. If I'm not able to have it because I can't get enough musicians on board, I will go ahead and maybe try to do it for August or September and have it inside versus outside in the sweltering heat. Because I could do it probably at Bellwood Park across the other side of town, but it's going to be very hot, and I want people to be comfortable there.
Now there is an event planned to take place this Saturday, June 10th at Jimmy Mitchell Motors in Aurora. It's a car and bike show. All donations will go towards helping the families involved. Police say a man killed another man and chased a juvenile with a knife Saturday in Cassville. 30-year-old Richard Randolph is charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. Police say the caller was a boy who said one person was stabbed and the suspect chased him with a knife. 40-year-old Andy Hunter of Exeter died of stab wounds. Passerby picked up the juvenile and took him to a nearby sheriff's office. No word on his condition. The Biden administration announces funding from multiple states, including Kansas, that will help reduce train vehicle collisions and blocked rail crossings. Olathe gets nearly $18 million. Wellington received $8.8 million. The city of Emporia gets $601,000. Fayetteville, Arkansas will receive up to $576,000. And in Missouri, the Port Authority of Kansas City can get up to $2 million. Funding looks to address more than 400 at-grade crossings nationwide, improve safety, make it easier to get around railroad tracks by adding grade separations. Wichita authorities respond to multiple weekend shootings, including some that involved teenagers. As Brandon Stitt reports, some people in the community are looking for a solution to what they see as a troubling trend.
The weekend started
shooting 1548 Southwest Port of Wichita, right east.
and wrapped up with multiple shootings throughout Wichita.
The shooting at MacArthur Meridian at the Quick Trip off right south.
Wichita police responded to 5 shootings where 6 people were injured, 5 of which were teenagers. For David Gilkey, co-founder of Rise Up for Youth, this trend is concerning.
My feelings on it is, the summer's coming and school just let out, and these young people really don't have as much activity as we thought they would have as they're going into the summertime.
And he says youth violence is a community problem.
And this is not a black thing, a white thing, this is a community and a citywide issue where we have to take a look at that.
David says the solution starts with adults.
As adults, we are responsible for our young people. I don't want people to get it twisted like, they ain't my kids, we shut our blinds and close our doors. No, we got to get back to it takes a village.
And a job may help.
We need to get more jobs because I always say nothing stops a bullet like a job.
And adults should listen to the teens that are impacted by the violence.
Our young people want to be heard. And sometimes they crying out for help through violence, through drug addiction, through other ways.
Because what they say may be another solution to the problem.
Hear they cry. Not just the city and community, hear the cry of the young people. They're crying out. And then we need to start hearing what they're crying about.
Hire with a suspect. Well, Joplin might see some big new changes in the area of 32nd Street and Range Line. The Joplin City Council last night discussed establishing the 32nd Street Theater Community Improvement District. It would add 2 new hotels to the area and demolish the old Holiday Inn to make space. A CID bond of $540,000 is needed to fund the demolition of the old Holiday Inn. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Outlaws host the Mustangs. We'll have the outcome of that baseball game in sports. Plus, Princess Leia's dress is going up for auction. And we're asking this morning, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? Maryland confirms that a resident in the state has a case of the measles. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, the Joplin Outlaws are 1-0 to begin their Mink League schedule. The Outlaws won their season opener over Des Moines on Thursday before the second game of that series was postponed in the 5th inning due to weather. Last night, though, no rain, and the Outlaws back in action, hosting the defending league champion St. Joe Mustangs. Cade Billier on the mound for Joplin. He goes 4 shutout innings with a pair of strikeouts. Joplin on top 2-0 after 4. Now we go to the 6th. Check this one out. Runner on second for William Kelly. Destroys his bat. Grounder to the left side. Runner is tagged out. Kelly safe at first, but he needs a new bat. We get to a couple batters later. Landon Meyer delivers a hit to right. Great effort out there on the diving attempt, but the ball gets down. Kelly trying to score all the way from first. Great slide to beat the tag. Joplin takes a 3-0 lead with that. And Joplin wins it 6-1. The Outlaws are 2-0 to start the season. A pair of Pittsburgh State baseball players earn All-American honors this week from the NCBWA. Catcher Nixon Brannon and shortstop Cade Clemens have been named NCBWA All-Americans. Clemens is a first-team selection at shortstop. Clemens started 50 games for the Gorillas this spring. He hit .335 with 18 home runs, 13 doubles, and 3 triples. He has 52 RBIs this spring, and his 18 home runs were third most in the MIAA. Behind the plate, Nixon Brannon is a third-team All-America selection from the NCBWA. Brannon had 22 doubles, 15 home runs, and led Pitt State with 69 RBIs. He has previously been named first-team All-Region and the MIAA Co-Player of the Year.
Yeah, he just came in and was himself all year. He didn't feel his way out. He came in and believed in himself. He's got kind of an unorthodox way of hitting, but it works for him, and we don't try to change too much. But I think at the end of the year he pressed a little bit, but I think he's going to come back and have another really good year for the Gorillas.
It means everything to me, man. I love this place. I love this town. I love the people. That was a lot of me coming here, was the Gorillas everywhere in town. It's awesome to have Cade Clemens on there with me. He works just as hard as me in the off season. It's great to see his work pay off too. I love seeing Cade Clemens first team on there. It means a lot. It's great for the program here at Pitt State.
Missouri Southern second baseman Nate Myskowski is a second-team NCBWA All-American. This is actually his third All-American selection this spring. Myskowski did it all for Missouri Southern this season. He hit .374 with 99 hits, including 19 doubles and 14 home runs. Myskowski drove in 66 while drawing 34 walks. And he's not the only one from Missouri Southern with All-American honors. You see there, Myskowski was a second-team All-American from the CCCA, the ABCA, and the NCBWA. His teammate, Matt Miller, is the Aurora kid, is a third-team ABCA All-American. Pitcher Cole Woods earns honorable mention All-American recognition from the CCCA. But here's Lions head coach on his second baseman, Myskowski, earning All-American honors from 3 different groups.
Nate, just an outstanding middle infielder, really good on defense. I know his bat is what everybody talks about, but you know, he's a really good all-around player, and just takes his hitting very seriously, practices a ton, loves baseball, and the success that Nate has is largely because of his work and what he does to prepare himself.
Still to come, France marks the 1,000th birthday of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And we'll take another look at our chances of pop-up thunderstorms this afternoon when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:19 on this Tuesday morning. We've got another warm, muggy day for us and the possibility of a few pop-up storms as we head into this afternoon. So let's take a look down the road. Here we are about 2 o'clock, still fairly isolated around the region. By 4, we'll start to see a few more of these pop-up storms, but again, since they're feeding off the daytime heating, as the evening progresses, they will eventually begin to die out. Now, as we've seen over the last several days, the possibility of a strong or severe storm out there does exist. It's a limited risk, but it is there. As we head into our Wednesday, we're expecting to spend the majority of our Wednesday dry and partly cloudy. But as we go into Thursday morning, we have some storms off to our north that are expected to roll through to the south. So here between 4, 5, 6 a.m., we get these showers and thunderstorms starting to push in. Here we are at 10, another batch of showers and thunderstorms rolling through the area. And in the morning hours are our best chances for some organized thunderstorm activity. And then we head into the afternoon. We transition to more of a scattered shower and thunderstorm event for us as we head through our Thursday evening. So some good, much needed rain on the way for us. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range line, looking to the south is looking all right. And here we are at the KDOT camera, 69 and 400 south of Pittsburgh, looking good so far as well. We've got mostly clear skies out there, 64 in Joplin, muggy though, dew point 61, humidity at 90%. As we look at temperatures around the region, still a little cooler to the north, 60 Nevada, Fort Scott, Iola, 61 in Yates Center, 63 Pittsburgh, 65 Parsons, Miami, Neosho, Monette. It's sitting at 64 in Lamar and Carthage. We get our morning started expecting sunny skies, maybe a few passing clouds here and there, warm, muggy, low 80s by late morning. Highest today, upper 80s, maybe some lower 90s out there again today. We've got those isolated pop-up storms this afternoon, and a strong or severe storm is possible, not likely, but possible. Those taper off as the evening proceeds, then we'll go mostly clear, partly cloudy, mild tonight, back into the upper 60s for our overnight lows. Hot tomorrow, 90, low 90s across the area. Thunderstorms Thursday, that also helps keep our temperatures down a bit as we stay in the lower 80s. They warm back up, more pop-up thunderstorm chances as we head into the weekend. Then a little cooler to kick off the next work week before the low 90s return once again. We see another round of possible pop-up storms by next Wednesday. Well, hooray for Hollywood leftovers. The soon-to-be underway auction promises the mother lode of movie memorabilia, including a stylish and famous dress from a galaxy far, far away. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
Movie buffs, get out your checkbooks because one of Hollywood's premier prop houses is prepping for a massive movie fire sale that could land you Harry Potter's cloak or the Dark Knight's bat pod. More than 1,400 items are up for grabs at Prop Store's huge Hollywood auction in late June that could reportedly haul in as much as $12 million in bids. There are too many Tinseltown trinkets to name them all, but highlights include Michael Keaton's batsuit, Rose's dress from Titanic, a baseball glove from Field of Dreams, a gremlin from Gremlins, this thing from The Thing, and more. But the star of the show is Princess Leia's white gown, worn in Star Wars by the late, great Carrie Fisher. It's expected to nab as much as $2 million, and for some movie memorabilia buffs, it's like the Holy Grail. By the way, Monty Python Holy Grail stuff is also available. Another salute to art took place in Amsterdam, this one to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the country's Vincent van Gogh Museum. Organizers say the dazzling nighttime display featured 200 drones recreating some of the famous Dutch master's works and honored the museum's long-standing dedication to preserving the iconic painter's legacy. Finally, not necessarily art, but definitely a masterpiece of Mother Nature. A stunning strawberry moon left stargazers to swoon over the weekend. Although not always red, don't let the color confuse you. According to the Old Farmer's Almanac, the name actually comes from Native American history. This dazzling June full moon was a signal to tribes to harvest their wild strawberries. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. What's your favorite Star Wars movie? We're talking Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, The Last Jedi, or maybe something that's not on that list. We want to hear from you. Make sure you take time to vote through our website, through the app, and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. And we will be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, Maryland sees its first confirmed case of measles since 2019. Officials in Montgomery County say the case is linked to a gathering of people at an ice rink in Bethesda last week, as well as a professional office in Gaithersburg. Measles is a highly contagious viral illness. Symptoms are typical of many respiratory illnesses, followed by a characteristic rash that usually appears on the face, spreading some days later. The CDC says there have been 10 measles cases in the U.S. as of April 28th. More people are taking over-the-counter melatonin to help them fall asleep despite potential health impacts. It found that by 2018, Americans were taking more than twice the amount of melatonin than a decade earlier. Melatonin use has been linked to symptoms like headaches, depression, stomach cramps, and low blood pressure. It can also interact with common medications and trigger allergies. Over-the-counter melatonin is not fully regulated, so the pills might have significantly higher levels than what's on the label. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we're watching the possibility of another round of pop-up thunderstorms this afternoon. Outside of that, it's going to be warm and muggy. We'll have another look at your forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, we hop in our airplane and take you to Joplin to learn more about the city's aviation history.
We've got mostly clear skies to start today. Muggy out there, warm, muggy today, and more pop-up thunderstorms. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
And some Tulsa firefighters arrived to a storm drain to rescue some ducks.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's muggy outside, it's warm, it's going to be muggy and warm today, and we have the possibility of additional pop-up storms this afternoon. So again, they do bring some rain, just not as much rain as we'd like to see, but we have better rain chances coming in, it looks like, by Thursday. So let's take a look down the road. As we head into this afternoon, we'll start to see a couple of those pop-up thunderstorms out there. And as we've noted the last few days, though, we could see a stray, strong, or severe thunderstorm with this activity. While that overall risk is limited, it's not zero at this point. Pop-up storms continue into the evening, and then, of course, as we start to lose the daytime heating, we'll see those die on out. We go into our Wednesday, we're expected to be hot and partly cloudy. We could see a stray shower or two Wednesday, but right now that possibility is looking relatively low. It's Thursday. By about 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, we see a decent batch of showers and maybe even a few thunderstorms roll through. We'll get a second round coming through around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. That pushes on through, and as the afternoon progresses, could see some additional pop-up storms out there as well. MoDOT camera 20th and range line looks good so far, and we're okay at the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. Clear skies from our camera at 7th and range line, 64 Joplin, dew point 61, humidity 90%. So that's what we're talking about. It feels pretty sticky outside this morning. Cool here, 59 Fort Scott, 60 Iola, Nevada, 62 Pittsburgh Yates Center, 64 Miami, and 65 in the Neosho. We get our day started expecting mostly clear skies out there, warm and muggy into the low 80s by late morning. Highs today heading into the upper 80s, lower 90s with those pop-up thunderstorms across the area. We'll drop back to mild temperatures tonight, mid to upper 60s, low 90s tomorrow, so hot. And then better storm chances, a little cooler on Thursday, and then pop-up storms through the weekend, temperatures into the mid to upper 80s. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. The history of Joplin aviation is getting some airtime. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has the story.
If you're a fan of aviation, then you might want to make some aerospace in your schedule to check out an exhibit at the Joplin Regional Airport.
3, 2, 1, 0. We have booster ignition and liftoff.
Daryl Coit, the president of the Freedom of Flight Museum, gave me a tour of the exhibit and told me how a small airport made a big name for itself.
In the 1950s, aviation was really growing in the area, and so there was a lot of smaller airports around, grass fields and single runway type fields, and so that gave a little bit of competition to everybody, but it brought a lot of business into the areas.
We took off from the 1930s and landed in the modern day. Enough information for even a passerby to become an aviation expert.
This was done by a Missouri Southern State College or State University student, Malcolm Robertson, and he had a history project he needed to fulfill, and so he's worked several months on it for us and did a really good job.
One could say Mr. Robertson may earn his wings as a historian. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Anthony Saviello.
The exhibit is open through Wednesday and is a part of the 150th celebration of Joplin. The museum is also accepting volunteers. Missouri Southern State University is inspiring kids to try new sports and activities. Children's Lifetime Sports Academy is held every year at MSSU for 4 days and $125 a kid. The goal of the Sports Academy is to teach skills and to promote an appreciation for simply being active.
Well, I am really pro golf for junior golf. So I coach 2 high school teams, the girls and the boys, and need juniors to get into play golf, you know. It gives them exposure to something else that they may not otherwise know anything of, and golf can be kind of expensive. So
the Academy welcomes children of all abilities, ages 7 through 12. Well, a daring rescue this weekend in Tulsa as police require some reinforcements. The Tulsa Fire Department arrived to rescue a baby duckling from a storm drain. As you can see, they had to climb deep into the storm drain. Authorities say when one of the officers took a gander down the drain, he learned that the mama duck did indeed lose her duckling. At last report, no ducklings suffered any injuries. They're so cute. Well, if you're looking for something to occupy your kids this summer, the Pittsburgh Public Library has you covered. Maker Monday kicked off yesterday. The summer-long event gives kids the chance to explore fun projects they can create and take home a new craft each week.
So these programs provide an opportunity for kids and teens to get out of the house into a safe area of the community and meet with friends and socialize and just have a good time outside of school and other places during the summer.
Workshops take about an hour. The library will be closed on Monday, June 19th, so there will be no class that day. Well, the public library in Fort Scott, Kansas also hosted an event yesterday. Folks there had the chance to paint some rocks and enjoy some snacks and drinks. After the rock painting party, they went on a walk searching for other painted rocks. Organizers say it's a chance to explore creativity and nature.
We are painting rocks as a Kindness Rocks painting party that brings us together as a community and lets the kids work in cooperation to do something fun and creative.
You can find other fun events all around the 4 states on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com/events. Well, some area middle and high school athletes among students participating in other activities, they got their free physical examinations completed yesterday in Joplin. More than 300 students from Joplin, Riverton, and Columbus schools are getting their health checked at the Joplin High School Gymnasium. Joplin School's athletic director, Matt Hyatt, says student athletes and members of activities are required to have a pre-participation physical every 2 years. He says the partnership between Freeman and participating schools can save a great amount of money, especially for a family that has several athletes. The physicals are done on time before summer.
The last thing that anybody wants to do is set a kid out once practice starts because they don't have their physical done or their paperwork. So being able to take care of this right now, with the services that Freeman are providing us, and to be able to do it all in one night in one location is huge for us.
Hyatt emphasizes the importance of getting your physicals done before the season. There will be 2 more scheduled examination nights this month at Neosho Junior High and Webb City High School. Well, this morning we're discussing Star Wars.
Movie buffs, get out your checkbooks because one of Hollywood's premier prop houses is prepping for a massive movie fire sale that could land you Harry Potter's cloak or the Dark Knight's bat pod, or more importantly, something else.
That's right. More than 1,400 items are up for grabs at the prop store's huge Hollywood auction in late June that could haul in as much as $12 million in bids. Too many Tinseltown trinkets to name them all. The highlights include Michael Keaton's bat suit, Rose's dress from Titanic, I want that, and a baseball glove from Field of Dreams, a gremlin from Gremlins, and the thing from The Thing, and more. The star of the show is Princess Leia's white gown worn in Star Wars by the late, great Carrie Fisher.
And that brings us to our question for you this morning. What is your favorite Star Wars movie? You've got a number of options up there. So far, 33% of you, this is almost evenly split here, say Star Wars, another 33% for Return of the Jedi, and another 33% of you saying maybe something that's not on our list. So make sure you take time to vote through our website, through our app, and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page.
All right, there you go. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. century-old organ gets a second chance to play some music.
Plus, a convicted spy is found dead in a Colorado prison. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from the 66 Drive-In Theater in Carthage, Missouri, as today marks the anniversary of the very first drive-in movie. Topping World Watch, convicted spy Robert Hansen is dead. The former FBI agent, said to be one of the most damaging spies in American history, was found dead Monday in his prison cell at the federal penitentiary in Florence, Colorado. Hansen was said to be found unresponsive and not receptive to the life-saving measures of the staff. 79-year-old was serving a life sentence after he pled guilty to selling highly classified material to the Soviet Union and later Russia that included thousands of human sources and counterintelligence techniques and investigations in exchange for more than $1.4 million in cash, diamonds, and foreign bank deposits. Brazil marks 1 year since the killings of British journalist Dom Phillips and indigenous expert Bruno Pierio. The demonstration in Rio de Janeiro remembered the two men who were killed while researching a book in the Amazon. This comes as police have named two more suspects in the murder case. The men were allegedly connected to an illegal fishing network. A total of 5 men are awaiting trial. France marks 1,000 years since the first stone was laid at the famed Mont Saint-Michel Abbey. French President Emmanuel Macron visited the abbey on Monday to tour an exhibit created to help celebrate the site's millennial. Mont Saint-Michel will also feature concerts, dance shows, and conferences through November. Among the exhibits Macron visited Monday was one tracing the beloved Abbey's history, complete with a restored statue of Saint Michael. Legend says the Archangel Michael appeared at the Abbey in the year 708 and instructed a bishop to build him a church there. She was condemned as Australia's worst female serial killer, but on Monday she walked free after serving 20 years behind bars for killing her 4 children. Kathleen Folbig was pardoned by the New South Wales Attorney General on Monday. This was based on the preliminary findings of an inquiry which found reasonable doubt around her guilt. Folbig was seen reuniting with her longtime friend and advocate Tracy Chapman at the latter's farm on Monday following her release. Folbig was jailed in 2003 on 3 counts of murder, 1 count of manslaughter over the deaths of her 4 babies over a decade ago, 1989. In each case, she was the one who found their bodies, but there was never any physical evidence that she had caused their deaths. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:46 on this Tuesday morning. So because the forecast really hasn't changed a lot, we were just thinking that maybe we could just put on some jazz music and just play through the graphics, kind of like the old Local on the 8s on the Weather Channel. If you think that's a good idea, let me know. Some people, I think, probably don't like listening to me talk all the time. Let's talk about, because we got to, the pop-up storms for today. We'll start to see them around the same time, around 2, 3 o'clock today. Looking again more in southeast Kansas, but could get a few in southwest Missouri, northeast Oklahoma. And of course, once we lose the daytime heating, we will lose these pop-up storms. And as we've seen the last couple of rounds of these, we could see a stray, strong, or severe thunderstorm. So even though we aren't officially highlighted in a risk for severe weather, it could still happen, so do keep an eye to the sky. We go into our Wednesday, we're expecting to be partly cloudy, hot, could see a stray shower or 2. We're not looking at that being a high probability, but Thursday, we're looking at some better, at least morning thunderstorm chances. 4, 5, 6 a.m. A nice little batch of showers and thunderstorms comes rolling through the area. By 10, we get another one that starts to develop and roll through. And as we head into the afternoon, could see some additional pop-up storms back behind that activity before it starts to move on out of here with the daytime heating loss. So that's what we're looking at least in the short term. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, looks good. We've got some daylight coming out there, clear skies, same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. And our camera at 7th and range line, clear skies, great start to the morning, but muggy. We're at 64, dew point 61, humidity is 90%. So again, it's a bit sticky out there. Still a little cool to the north, got 60s, Nevada, Fort Scott, Iola, 62, Yates Center, Pittsburgh, 64, Chanute, Neodesha, Parsons, 63, Chatopa, Miami, and up to 65 in Neosho. We're expecting mostly clear skies as we go through the morning, maybe a passing cloud or two, low 80s by late morning and muggy out there. Hot today. We're talking temperatures upper 80s, low 90s. We'll get those pop-up storms in here with that partly cloudy skies this afternoon. Mostly clear to partly cloudy once those storms die out, and mild tonight with our overnight lows back into the mid to upper 60s. Then we look ahead, hot tomorrow. Again, maybe an isolated shower or two. Of course, we'll keep an eye on that for you. Pop-up storms, you know how it is. Otherwise, partly cloudy and again, hot. Then we get a little cooler Thursday, low 80s, those thunderstorm chances. That helps keep our temperatures down a little bit. Pop-up storms Friday, Saturday, Sunday, mid to upper 80s. Cooler on Monday, upper 70s, but it doesn't last. We're going to start to warm right back up. Mid-80s, low 90s by the middle of next week, and we've got additional pop-up thunderstorm chances by next Wednesday. Check out these overnight lows. Not bad. We're talking low to mid-60s for the most part. The next week, look at this. We got lows going into the 70-degree range. We'll be right back with more after this, but first we got another live look from the 66 Drive-In Theater in Carthage.
Talk about marching to the beat of your own drum. Two men in West Virginia have created a new instrument. Clayton McChesney reports they started with an organ that's about a century old and then got creative.
This is a planar anti-calibration resonator, a musical invention that's one of a kind. Through the use of keys, knobs, and pedals, the resonator makes seemingly random noises that even experienced musicians may be surprised by. But that's part of the fun.
It doesn't always sound like they anticipated. Like the key won't fire right, or it'll get stuck, or it just randomly makes some sort of growling, screaming noise. And, that's the desired effect.
The resonator is the brainchild of two friends with experience combining art and technology. It took over a year to assemble this machine from a century-old pump organ and electronic scrap donated by Bluefield State University. The resident electronics wizard says this demonstrates the House of Art's mission of turning trash into fantastic art.
We were sort of guided by trash, right? We used the best trash and turned it into something that now is not trash. So I think that's the main guiding principle here, is reusing stuff that otherwise would have just been landfill.
The look of the resonator was designed by the artificer of the group, who wanted it to look even more complicated than it is. Only 30% is actually functional.
It kind of goes with the theme of the recycled e-waste. The obsolescence of technology becoming almost a mystique in the culture to where this stuff piles up and it becomes mysterious.
The designers call this Gothic futurism and say it communicates a message about using technology like cell phones or artificial intelligence without fully understanding what they do.
You have a situation where people are using technology that they don't fully understand. And so then the technology appears to be more than it really is, right? I mean, I could explain every part of the resonator to somebody, but if you take it as a whole rather than its constituent parts, then it's this big, wild, unpredictable machine and you don't know what it's going to do. Plosives, plosives, that makes a nice jump.
The House of Art is no stranger to unusual ideas like this one. The director and curator says she liked the idea from its beginning, especially the Gothic futurism influences.
You are in the House of Art. All you have to do is walk through this building and we don't have to be sold on anything. If it's someone's idea and they've got, the imagination to take it where it needs to go, absolutely, why wouldn't we stand right behind that?
Now, Queen says people are welcome to stop by and try out the new instrument. We'll be right back. Well, yoga really is for everyone. Check out these elephants that are getting into some poses. Yeah, that's right, elephants. The Houston Zoo is helping keep these large mammals zen and limber with some daily yoga. Facility says Tess is one of its star yogis and the only one who can do a handstand. I can't even do that. Each elephant does about a 3-minute and 30-second class starting when they're just calves. The yoga sessions are voluntary for the animals and help keep their joints limber and their brains stimulated. The Walt Disney Studios is hoping for more magical success as it announces a new production to follow a smash sequel. Disney confirmed Hocus Pocus 3 is in the works. The news comes as no surprise after the success of Hocus Pocus 2, which was released last year. The sequel set a record on the streaming charts with 2.7 billion minutes of viewing. The first cult favorite Hocus Pocus film came out in 1993. It's not yet known if Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy will return as the Sanderson sisters.
Well, we've got ourselves some hot weather returning across the area. Mostly sunny skies this morning, low 80s, muggy, pop-up storms again this afternoon. Could see a stray, strong, or severe thunderstorm out there. And we're reaching highs upper 80s, low 90s today. Pop-up storms die out, of course, with the loss of the heating of the day. We're left with mostly clear to partly cloudy skies overnight and mild. We're talking upper 60s out there. Hot tomorrow, low 90s, maybe a stray shower or two. Better storm chances Thursday, low 80s, pop-up storms into the weekend, mid to upper 80s, and a little cooler on Monday, sunny skies and upper 70s. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6, the Joplin City Council discusses an improvement project for 32nd Street.
We've got ourselves a muggy start out there, warm and muggy today, and more pop-up storms. Take a look at your forecast coming up.
And the 2024 presidential field is getting bigger for the GOP. We'll have more details on who is trying to be the GOP's candidate for 2024.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Buck.
I'm Chris Warner, just after 6 o'clock now on this Tuesday morning across the area. It's a little bit on the muggy side again this morning, and it's going to be another hot one out there today as well, with more pop-up thunderstorm chances across the area as well. So we aren't actually specifically highlighted for any kind of a severe threat today, nor were we yesterday. But as we've noted, and we saw this on Saturday as well, some of these pop-up storms could be strong to severe. So it's something definitely keep an eye on. I think the majority of them should remain below severe limits, but a couple of stronger storms are possible. We go into this afternoon, we'll start to see those pop-up showers and thunderstorms across the area, primarily in southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma, but we could see a few stray over into southwest Missouri. And of course, once we lose the daytime heating, that activity dies on out. Then we head into our Wednesday. We're looking to be hot, partly cloudy. Could see a stray shower or pop-up storm as well on Wednesday. It looks like a pretty low probability, but it's still a small chance out there. We go into Thursday and we see thunderstorms and showers rolling through about 4, 5, 6 a.m. Get another batch later in the morning across the area, and then we'll see some additional pop-up storms possible behind that activity as we head into our Thursday afternoon. MoDOT camera 20th and range line looking good so far, and same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. Our camera 7th and range line looks great so far. 64 in Joplin, clear skies, muggy, dew point 60, humidity 87%. And as we look at temperatures around the region, they look about like this. Cooler to the north again, 60 Nevada, Fort Scott, Iola, 64 Parsons, 63 Miami, and 65 in the Neosho. We get our morning started, sunny skies, muggy, low 80s by late morning. Highs today, upper 80s, low 90s. We'll have more on your full forecast here in just a couple more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. A woman has now been charged in a deadly motorcycle crash that killed 4 people near Aurora, Missouri on Saturday morning. Teresa Manetsky is charged with DWI. Investigators say she admitted to taking several antipsychotic medications before the crash. Michael Hoffman spoke to a rider who decided not to go at the last minute.
It soaks in more and more every day that, yeah, I could not be here today speaking to you, because if I had gone to ride and do some good for for a benefit run, I wouldn't be here today. So somebody up there was watching me.
Police say on Saturday, 4 lives were claimed in a horrific accident with more badly injured. This is the security video just moments before the crash. David Padilla is friends with many of the riders who participated, and his neighbor Bob was on the ride and invited Padilla to join.
And Bob was the third rider, and he told me that this lady crossed the road and hit the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 10th rider, and then the ones 6 through 10 veered off the road or whatever they did to avoid being killed and were injured as well.
Padilla says many people have stepped up to raise money for the families involved, but says because he himself was so close to going, he wanted to throw his own event for the fallen and injured by putting on a concert.
It's going to be hopefully on Saturday, July 15th. I'm going to have it about 10 o'clock in the morning till 8 p.m. at night. Should be about a 10-hour event. If I'm not able to have it because I can't get enough musicians on board, I will go ahead and maybe try to do it for August or September and have it inside versus outside in the sweltering heat. Because I could do it probably at Bellwood Park across the other side of town, but it's going to be very hot, and I want people to be comfortable there.
Now, there is an event planned to take place this Saturday, June 10th at Jimmy Mitchell Motors in Aurora. It's a car and bike show. All donations will go towards helping the families involved. Police say a man killed another man and chased a juvenile with a knife Saturday in Cassville. 30-year-old Richard Randolph is charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. Police say the caller was a boy who said one person was stabbed and that the suspect chased that boy with a knife. 40-year-old Andy Hunter of Exeter died of stab wounds. Passerby picked up the juvenile and took him to a nearby sheriff's office. No word on his condition. The Biden administration announces funding from multiple states, including Kansas, that will help reduce train vehicle collisions and blocked rail crossings. Olathe gets nearly $18 million. Wellington received $8.8 million, and the city of Emporia gets $601,000. Fayetteville, Arkansas will receive up to $576,000. And in Missouri, the Port Authority of Kansas City could get up to $2 million. The funding looks to address more than 400 at-grade crossings nationwide, improve safety, make it easier to get around railroad tracks by adding grade separations. The Republican presidential field is expected to grow this week, with at least 3 more hopefuls looking to jump into the race. Comes as the party's current frontrunner, former President Trump, faces mounting legal pressures. Naomi Ruckham has more from New York.
Today, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie will jump into the 2024 GOP race during a rally in New Hampshire. The expected move is already getting mixed reaction in the state's largest city of Manchester.
Chris Christie's getting in this just to attack Trump. I don't think he has any real goals at trying to become president.
I think Christie's great too. I think the more the competition, the better we can see who Donald Trump really is and who these guys are.
Tomorrow, former Vice President Mike Pence is set to kick off his presidential bid in Iowa after officially filing his paperwork Monday.
We have a very clear sense of that calling now, and we thought Iowa would be the best place to make our attention stop.
With those two, plus North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum's anticipated Wednesday announcement, the Republican field will expand into the double digits this week. Still, former President Trump has a massive lead in the polls for the nomination, despite mounting legal concerns. Trump's attorneys argued privately to Justice Department officials yesterday that no charges should be filed in the case involving his handling of classified documents, citing unfair treatment by special counsel Jack Smith.
It's a definite sign that an indictment is likely coming very soon.
CBS News has learned Smith attended the meeting with Trump's lawyers. The former president denies any wrongdoing. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Speculation around another potential Republican hopeful, New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, ended this week. In the Washington Post, he said he will not jump into the presidential race. Instead, he'll campaign for the GOP candidate he believes has the best chances of winning in 2024. He also added he believes the party will lose if Trump is the nominee. Well, Joplin might see some big new changes in the area of 32nd Street and Range Line. The Joplin City Council last night discussed establishing the 32nd Street Theater Community Improvement District. It would add 2 new hotels to the area and demolish the old Holiday Inn to make space. A CID bond of $540,000 is needed to fund the demolition of the old Holiday Inn. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis signs into law the strictest anti-immigration bill in the country. We'll have how this affects certain industries in the state. Plus, how talking to your baby might be better for its development. And Chris has a look at those summer-like temperatures in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. But first, here's a live look from the 66 Drive-In Theater in Carthage, Missouri, as we celebrate the anniversary of the very first drive-in movie. Topping Nation Watch this morning, Indianapolis Colts player Isaiah Rodgers Sr. is taking full responsibility amid reports of an NFL probe into a possible violation of the league's gambling policy. The 25-year-old issued a statement on Twitter Monday calling it an error in judgment. The investigation came after ESPN and SportsHandle.com reported that approximately 100 bets were made from a sportsbook account under the name of one of Rodgers' associates. Most of the bets were reportedly in the $25 to $50 range, with some of them being on Colts games. The NFL explicitly prohibits players from betting on football games or any other professional sporting events. Texas authorities are recommending criminal charges in connection with those migrant flights from San Antonio to Martha's Vineyard last fall. Bexar County Sheriff's Office said in a statement on Monday it is recommending charges of unlawful restraint, both misdemeanor and felony, but not say against whom charges should be filed. Sheriff's Office opened an investigation in September saying nearly 50 Venezuelan migrants were exploited and hoodwinked into making the trip for political posturing. Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis claimed credit for flying the migrants to Martha's Vineyard as part of his criticism of the Biden administration's immigration policies. It said the migrants were not misled. The case is now under review at the Bexar County District Attorney's Office. Lawyers for former President Donald Trump have asked a judge not to allow Jean Carroll to amend her first defamation lawsuit. Carroll filed 2 civil lawsuits against Trump, one last year and another in 2019. A jury awarded her $5 million last month for sexual abuse and defamation in the 2022 case, but the 2019 case has been tied up in the courts. Florida's so-called toughest in the nation's immigration law takes effect July 1st, and there's concern it could cause a major agriculture and construction labor shortage. That's according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Florida already has 53 available workers for every 100 open jobs, landing the state in the more severe category of labor shortage. As Christian Benavides reports, some effects of the upcoming law are already taking shape.
Pedro Marcos from Guatemala is sticking it out as a laborer in Florida, but says he already knows 2 former co-workers who left the state after Governor Ron DeSantis signed a new restrictive immigration law.
In realidad,
the truth, I'm not planning to leave. I'm going to stay. I just want politicians to understand us. We do the work nobody else wants to do. The construction work he had in Miami dried up after his employers, he says, got scared.
You can't build a strong economy based on illegality.
The new law requires companies with 25 or more employees use E-Verify when hiring. Those who don't check eligibility face fines and a suspended license to operate. Workers who use a fake ID to get a job could get charged with a felony. The Florida Policy Institute estimates the state's most labor-intensive industries could lose 10% of their workforce, costing the state $12.6 billion in 1 year.
The economy will suffer if they are forced to leave the state.
The law impacts health care too. Hospitals accepting Medicaid will have to check immigrant status. The all-volunteer Caridad Center in Boynton Beach is the largest free clinic in the state, providing health care for immigrants, and even the staff here is worried.
It's hard enough for these people to come in to get care from us, and if there's anything put in their way, they won't come in, and whatever problems they have will get worse.
The law also makes it a felony to transport undocumented immigrants into Florida, which could impact mixed-status married couples or farm workers who travel together. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Boynton Beach, Florida.
The new law also invalidates out-of-state driver's licenses issued to undocumented people. Protests were held last week in a declared day without immigrants. That's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
We've got ourselves a bit of a muggy start out there this morning, and we are expecting another warm, muggy day and more pop-up storms. We'll take a look at that full forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 6:18 now on this Tuesday morning. We got those pop-up thunderstorm chances returning to us as we head into the afternoon. So let's take the future track into the afternoon. Here we are at 2. Got a few of them out there, and of course we'll see a few more as the evening progresses. We'll see most of them in southeast Kansas, parts of northeast Oklahoma, but could get a few out into southwest Missouri. And as we've noted yesterday and again on Saturday, there's that possibility, even though we're not highlighted for a severe threat, there is that possibility of a stray, strong, or severe thunderstorm with this activity. So definitely keep your eye to the sky, keep the Skywatch weather app handy. As we lose the daytime heating, of course, we will lose those thunderstorms. When we head into our Wednesday, we're looking to be hot. We're looking to be partly cloudy. We could see an isolated shower or storm on Wednesday, but I think for the most of us, we're going to remain dry. We go into Thursday between 4, 5, and 6 a.m. We get this batch of showers and thunderstorms rolling through the area. And then as we go into 6, you can see another batch back behind that that'll push through the area, bringing some much needed actual real measurable rainfall to the area. Or at least that's our expectation at this point. And then we could see some additional pop-up storms back behind this activity as we head into the afternoon before we go later into the day and start to lose that daytime heating. We also have a little bit of fog out there, not widespread, but say from Nevada, Carthage, Joplin, back down toward Grove and Veneta, we do have some patchy fog. And you can see that on the MoDOT camera here at 20th and Range Line off in the distance. And you can see a little off in the distance behind that banner from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. And even our camera at 7th and Range Line, if I step over here, look off in the distance, you can see some foggy skies. So not super dense fog, but some patchy fog nonetheless. 64 in Joplin, otherwise clear skies, muggy though, dew point 60, humidity is at 87%. We've been staying a little cooler to the north. We've got 60 still in Nevada, Fort Scott, Iola, 62, in Yates Center in Pittsburgh, 64, Parsons, Chanute, and Neodesha, 63, Chatopa, Miami, and 65 in Neosho. We got our day started. We're going to have mostly clear skies, maybe a passing cloud or two, warm and muggy, low 80s. Highs today pushing upper 80s, lower 90s across the area, so a pretty hot day out there. And then we'll have those pop-up thunderstorms for some of us this afternoon. Once those die out, we're left with mostly clear to partly cloudy skies and a mild overnight. Lows back into the mid to upper 60s across the area. We're hot tomorrow, low 90s. Again, maybe a stray shower or two. Storm chances Thursday, and because of the clouds and storms, it keeps us a little cooler, lower 80s. We warm back up mid to upper 80s Friday, Saturday, Sunday with additional pop-up storm chances. Upper 70s on Monday, not bad. And then the temperatures soar again, mid 80s, low 90s, and we see additional pop-up storm chances by Wednesday. Let's check your forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, it's the leading cause of death in young people. Firearms kill more children under the age of 18 than anything else. Over the weekend, National Safe Day was observed across the U.S., a time that highlights the importance of proper gun storage, not only at your home, but also at places your child plays. Mandy Gator has more on how to talk to other parents about gun safety before a play date.
It can happen in an instant. Little hands on a gun can have deadly consequences.
I think we as parents can all meet together when we're talking about safety for our kids.
Between 2015 and 2022, an analysis by Everytown for Gun Safety found there were at least 2,800 unintentional shootings in the U.S. by children aged 17 and younger, resulting in nearly 1,100 deaths and more than 1,800 non-fatal injuries. This includes nearly 900 preschoolers and toddlers who found a gun and unintentionally shot themselves or someone else. The American Academy of Pediatrics says it's critical to have a conversation on gun safety with other parents before your child goes on a play date.
Blame it a little bit on your kid. You know, my kid is so curious and he's always getting into things. So I just want to make sure that everything is put away safely and securely, including any firearms in the home.
Pediatrician Lois Lee says to start by framing the conversation around safety, just like you would any other issue like pets or allergies. Use non-judgmental language. If guns are present, ask how the firearms are stored.
The most secure way is to have the firearm and the ammunition separated and locked away separately. But if that's really not something that a family can do, there are ways that you can secure your gun with a lockbox or a safe.
If you feel uncomfortable with any answers, choose another neutral place for your kids to play.
Or maybe invite the child over to your house.
The American Academy of Pediatrics says it's also important to talk to children about guns and remind them if they ever come across one to stay away from it and tell a trusted adult immediately. Well, parents who talk more to their babies may be improving the baby's brain development. That's the finding of new research out of the University of Texas at Dallas. Researchers studied 52 infants using MRI and audio recordings. They were able to demonstrate that the more a caregiver speaks to a very young child, the more likely that child is to perform better when they begin to talk themselves. Well, people who are at higher risk of cardiovascular disease are also much more likely to get carpal tunnel syndrome, tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, and rotator cuff tendonitis. The study published in the Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine found participants more likely to develop cardiovascular disease are also as much as 17 times more likely to develop 4 or more of the most common types of musculoskeletal disorders. And being active for an hour or more per day could lower the risk of type 2 diabetes. Researchers at the University of Sydney found even people with high genetic risk of developing the condition receive benefits from moderate to vigorous physical activity. They say it should be promoted as a major strategy for prevention. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Yeah, and latest update on the fog trackers. Got some dense fog over parts of Bourbon County impacting Fort Scott. Some patchy fog for the rest of us. We'll take a look at your full forecast and those pop-up thunderstorm chances when we come back.
Right now at 6:30, some middle and high school students go to Joplin to get their physicals done.
We've got ourselves a bit of some patchy fog out there across the area. We're muggy, we are warm, and we're going to be muggy and hot with more pop-up storms. Take a look at that forecast coming up.
And MSSU inspires kids to try new sports and activities.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:29. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's muggy, it's foggy, it's warm, and it's going to be hot and muggy, and some of us a bit stormy later today. So we got a lot of different things going on across the area. And those pop-up storms like we saw yesterday, and we saw this happen on Saturday, a couple of those could possibly be strong to severe. So definitely keep an eye to the sky. Keep the Skywatch weather app handy. We go into about 2 o'clock, start to see a few of them. Then, of course, as the afternoon progresses, we'll see a few more out there. And then once we start to lose the daytime heating, we'll start to see these thunderstorms die out. As we head into tomorrow, we're expecting to be hot and partly cloudy, but a stray shower or two possible, something we'll keep an eye on. Otherwise, the majority of us going to remain dry. And then Thursday brings us our best chance of rain as this batch rolls in. Starting in our northern counties about 4 a.m. Here we go to 6. Another batch back behind that, and that rolls through the region as well. And then once this organized shower and thunderstorm activity rolls through, we've got the possibility of maybe a few pop-up storms back behind this activity as we head into Thursday afternoon. Got some dense fog around parts of western Vernon County and Bourbon County, including in Fort Scott, almost about a half-mile of visibility up there. And we've got some patchy fog across other parts of the region, roughly between 49 and Highway 7. So if you are commuting, just watch out for some of this patchy fog. You can see it on the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline, off in the distance, and you can see it off in the distance from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. And if I move over here, you can see it off in the distance from our camera at 7th and Rangeline. So again, just be aware of that. Otherwise, clear skies, 64, muggy, dew point 60, humidity 87%. Temperatures around the region, they're cool in some places. 59 Fort Scott, 60 Nevada, Iola, 64 Parsons, 63 Miami, and 64 in Neosho. We get our morning started. We're expecting mostly clear skies, maybe a few passing clouds, low 80s by late morning today. Ahead of those pop-up storms, highs upper 80s, lower 90s across the area, so hot and muggy. We'll take another full look at your forecast here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Missouri Southern State University is inspiring kids to try new sports and activities. Children's Lifetime Sports Academy is held every year at MSSU for 4 days and at $125 a kid. The goal of Sports Academy is to teach skills and to promote an appreciation for simply being active.
So you put them in partners a lot. You get them in groups and teams so they can work together, play little games with each other, like shoot to the flag and stuff. But the campers kind of help with some of those groups as well. And you even saw some of the campers playing, so, which is good.
The Academy welcomes children of all abilities, ages 7 through 12. Well, a daring rescue this weekend in Tulsa as some police required a few reinforcements. The Tulsa Fire Department arrived to rescue a baby duckling from a storm drain. As you can see, they had to climb deep into the storm drain. Authorities say when one of the officers took a gander down the drain, he learned that the mama duck did indeed lose her duckling. Last report, the ducklings have any injuries. Well, if you're looking for something to occupy your kids this summer, the Pittsburgh Public Library has you covered. Maker Monday kicked off yesterday. The summer-long event gives kids the chance to explore fun projects they can create and take home a new craft each week.
So these programs provide an opportunity for kids and teens to get out of the house into a safe area of the community and meet with friends and socialize and just have a good time outside of school and other places during the summer.
The library will be closed on Monday, June 19th, so there will be no class that day. All the workshops take about an hour. Public Library in Fort Scott, Kansas also hosted an event yesterday. Folks there had chance to paint some rocks and enjoy some snacks and drinks. After the rock painting party, they went on a walk searching for other painted rocks. Organizers say it's a chance to explore creativity and nature.
We are painting rocks as a kindness rocks painting party that brings us together as a community and lets the kids work in cooperation to do something fun and creative.
You can find other fun events all around the 4 states on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com/events. Well, some area middle and high school athletes among students participating in other activities got their free physical examinations Monday in Joplin. KOAM's Yana Tula talked with officials and athletes about the annual exams for youth participating in sports.
More than 300 students from Joplin, Riverton, and Columbus schools are getting their health checked at the Joplin High School Gymnasium.
Around the corner to the
mission of the Missouri State High School Activities Association now requires all student athletes and members of activities such as band to have a pre-participation physical every 2 years.
Orthopedic surgeon Robert Lawrence has been doing high school physicals in Joplin for 26 years.
We're trying to pick up any previous injuries they've had or any health problems they have. A lot of times whatever their family history is really important. So if their dad's had heart problems or they've had passing out episodes, you're trying to pick up those things. And if they had prior injuries, musculoskeletal injuries, you're trying to pick those up as well.
Staff members say the partnership between Freeman and participating schools can save a great amount of money, especially for a family that has several athletes.
Typically, if a athlete went to their family doctor, probably cost me over $65 to $100 to get the exam. So we're running through 300-400 kids a night. So it's a lot of savings to kids.
Students like the efficiency of the physicals.
It can help reduce risk on the coach's side and everything else. If the athlete's not healthy, then it's a risk and a danger putting them out on the field, court, anything. And I just feel like this is a great way to help reduce that risk and help get the right kids out there.
In Joplin, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
Of getting your physicals done before the season. There will be 2 more scheduled examination nights this month at Neosho Junior High and Whip City High School. The Joplin Regional Airport gets a temporary makeover as it makes room for an aviation history exhibit. The exhibit takes a look at Joplin aviation through the ages. It includes pictures, articles, and videos of the history of flying in Joplin.
In the 1950s, aviation was really growing in the area, and so there was a lot of smaller airports around, grass fields and single runway type fields, and so that gave a little bit of competition to everybody, but it brought a lot of business into the areas.
The exhibit is open to the public through Wednesday and will offer tours between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. All right, this morning we're discussing movie buffs and auction items.
We certainly are. And we're also discussing one of the most important items out of that auction.
Briefly.
So, movie buffs, get out your checkbooks because one of Hollywood's premier prop houses is prepping for a massive movie fire sale that could land you Harry Potter's cloak or even the Dark Knight's bat pod.
More than 1,400 items are up for grabs at Prop Store's huge Hollywood auction in late June that could haul in as much as $12 million in bids. There are too many Tinseltown trinkets to name them all, but highlights include Michael Keaton's batsuit, Rose's dress from Titanic, like I said, I want that, baseball glove from Field of Dreams, a gremlin from Gremlins, and the thing from The Thing and more. But the star of the show is Princess Leia's white gown worn in Star Wars by the late, great Carrie Fisher.
And that brings us to our question for you this morning. What is your favorite Star Wars movie? You got a lot of choices out there. 40% of you say it's something not on our list, but 20% of you saying Star Wars. Oh, look at that. It just updated. Okay. So 20% of you for Star Wars, 20% of you for Return of the Jedi, another 20% for Attack of the Clones, and 40% of you something else, another 20% Phantom Menace. So continue to vote, and you can do so through our website, through our app, and of course take part in the discussion on our Facebook. It looks like there's a Star Wars voting war going on right now.
I know, I love it. I'm going to vote for Phantom Menace. That's the one with the pod racing, and that's fun. They introduced Anakin in that one. Love that kid. All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, we take a look at what's fueling airline customers. They get so ruly.
And we've got some patchy fog across the area. Take a look outside the KOAM studios. You can see it in the distance there. We'll have more on our warm forecast and those pop-up storm chances here in just a little bit. But first, here's a live look from the 66 Drive-In Theater in Carthage. We'll be right back.
In Consumer Watch this morning, a Delta flight from Paris to Detroit was diverted to Canada Friday night due to an unruly passenger. According to officials, this is just the latest in a growing number of incidents involving bad behavior on flights around the world. While there was hope that an end to mask mandates and a return to regular air travel would improve the trend that worsened during the pandemic, the instances of unruly passenger behavior are on the rise. Even Rodriguez takes a look at what's behind the behavior, what's being done about it.
Passengers behaving badly midair.
Sit! You see anyone else getting up? Sit!
The disturbing trend of unruly passengers on flights is steadily on the rise, according to a new global analysis by the International Air Transport Association. The number of incidents up by more than a third in 2022 from 2021. Incidents of problematic passengers increasing by a whopping 37% year-on-year per IATA. Some of the biggest issues: intoxication, verbal abuse, and non-compliance with the rules. IATA cites vaping and smoking as the leading rule broken by rebellious flyers, followed by failure to fasten seatbelts when instructed, exceeding the carry-on baggage allowance or failing to store baggage when required, and consumption of own alcohol on board. While in-flight physical violence remains rare, there was a disturbing 61% rise from 2021 to 2022.
If somebody's belligerent, if somebody's abusive, there's no real immediate remedy. You can't just kick them off the plane.
In response, airlines along with the FAA are working towards zero-tolerance policies with the hope of curbing misconduct.
Don't do anything that would cause a threat or a disruption to your fellow passengers and your flight crews. The pilot always says that flight attendants are there primarily for your safety, and that's right.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Apple unveils its much-anticipated virtual reality headset, the Vision Pro. The company says the headset allows users to blend digital content with the physical world. It's expected to hit stores next year for just under $3,500. Apple's big reveal comes days after competitor Meta gave a sneak peek of its Meta Quest 3 mixed reality headset, which will hit shelves this fall at a third of the cost of Apple's headset. Hollywood Actors Union, SAG-AFTRA, have voted to authorize a strike if contract negotiations break down. Contract talks begin tomorrow, with the current contract set to expire at the end of the month. It comes as TV and film writers are now entering their 6th week of their strike. Over the weekend, the industry reached a tentative agreement with the Directors Guild, likely avoiding another strike. Well, June is Pride Month, and new results from a survey conducted by the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, or GLAAD, found that 70% of non-LGBTQ people believe companies should publicly support the LGBTQ community in hiring and advertising practices. This comes as some Target stores have pulled Pride merchandise off of its shelves recently due to threats from some customers. More than 2,500 people participated in the GLAAD survey. That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Still dealing with some patchy fog across the area. Latest update shows that conditions have improved a bit in parts of Vernon and Bourbon counties. We're at 3.9 miles of visibility there in Fort Scott, but still some patchy fog across the region. It's also going to be warm, muggy, and more pop-up storms today. We'll have another look at your forecast coming up. And it's now Tuesday, so that means it's at least not Monday. So before we celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, we're going to check in and see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony Nicopol. Coming up on CBS Mornings, why a sailboat race around the world is not all about winning. It's also about protecting the oceans. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Time for some Tuesday birthdays here in the 4 states, and we're going to begin in Chanute with Aniston Pitts celebrating birthday number 8 with birthday wishes coming from your family. It says, "We are so proud of you and love you bunches."
All right, and Mia Lavelle celebrating birthday number 8 as well this year. Mia is in Arma.
And Colton Hickson celebrating birthday number 12 over in Fort Scott. Happy birthday.
All right, Kason Botts is celebrating birthday number 12 as well in Bronson, Kansas.
And Paige Mustaine celebrating birthday number 17 in Altamont. Happy birthday, Paige.
Brittany Murphy turning 36 years old this year in Seneca. Happy birthday from Ryan, Roman, Ryder, Rinley, Raylan, and Mom.
And Will Bond, based on this note, I believe formerly of Frontenac, Kansas, celebrating birthday number 52, says wishing Will a long-distance birthday to California from your family.
All right. And June Miller. Hope you have a wonderful birthday, Miss June.
We've also got Jack and Barbara Gunnery celebrating their 65th wedding anniversary in Oswego. Very happy anniversary to you.
And we didn't forget Kathy, Miss Kathy Cook in Carterville. Hope you have a wonderful birthday.
All right, we love celebrating birthdays and anniversaries with you all every morning. Tanya, how do they continue to celebrate with us?
Well, it's not hard. All you have to do is send us your birthday to this or anniversary to this email, birthdays with an S at KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, while you're on our website, make sure you take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. It is easy to do. You get great deals from local businesses. Additionally, you get yourself a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So make sure you sign up for that KOAM Birthday Club today. All right, let's take a look at our pop-up storms this afternoon. We head into about 2 o'clock. We start to see a few of these pop-up storms going, and by the afternoon, as we proceed to about 4, we get more of these scattered pop-up storms around the area. As we saw yesterday and we saw previously on Saturday, could see a stray, strong, or severe storm with this activity. And of course, once we lose the daytime heating, this activity will go away. And then we head into our Wednesday. We're watching the possibility of maybe a stray shower or two later in the evening. It looks more likely like we're going to be dry and simply hot as we go through our Wednesday and partly cloudy. Then by Thursday, starting at 4, Then 5, then 6 a.m. we get a line of showers and even a few thunderstorms out there rolling through the area. And then right behind that, another batch of showers and thunderstorms rolling through the area. Here we are by 10 a.m. And then after the main activity gets through on our Thursday, by the time we head into the afternoon, could see a couple of pop-up showers or thunderstorms before we start to lose the heating of the day. We've been dealing with some fog around the area. We got patchy fog, so some reduced visibilities. Grove, Miami, Joplin, Carthage, Nevada, Fort Scott, Parsons. So do watch out there. Watch out for some patchy, dense fog as well. There's some of that fog in the distance from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line, and some in the distance from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. And as we look at our camera at 7th and Range Line, off in the distance there as well, you can see some of that patchy fog. Otherwise, up above, mostly clear skies, 64, muggy, dew point 60, humidity is up to 87% out there. So again, it's a bit sticky. And then we take a look at temperatures around the region. We've been staying a little cooler to the north, Fort Scott especially, now 58, 60 in Nevada, 61 Iola, 62 Yates Center, Pittsburgh, Lamar, Chautauqua, 64 in Parsons, 63 Miami, and 62 in Monette. And as we take a look at our morning, we're expecting mostly clear skies, could see a stray cloud or two, otherwise sunny, warm, muggy, humid, however you want to describe it. It's somewhat uncomfortable. We'll start to make it into the lower 80s by late morning. We'll have another look at your forecast and the news you need to know right after this. And coming up when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14, we'll meet a nurse who served during World War II, and she's turning 100 years old. We'll have her story when you switch over with us to Fox 14 at 7 a.m.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, news you need to know before you head out the door. Joplin is a temporary makeover as it makes room for an aviation history exhibit. The exhibit takes a look at Joplin aviation through the ages. It includes pictures, articles, and videos of the history of flying in Joplin. The university is inspiring kids to try new sports and activities. Children's Lifetime Sports Academy is held every year at MSSU. 4 days and at $125 a kid. The goal of Sports Academy is to teach skills and to promote an appreciation for simply being active. Well, some area middle and high school athletes among students participating in other activities got their free physical examinations completed yesterday in Joplin. More than 300 students from Joplin, Riverton, and Columbus schools got their health checked at the Joplin High School gymnasium. Joplin School's athletic director Matt Hyatt says student athletes and members of activities are required to have a pre-participation physical every 2 years. He says the partnership between Freeman and participating schools can save a great amount of money, especially for a family that has several athletes. Physicals are done on time before summer. Well, if you're looking for something to occupy your kids this summer, the Pittsburgh Public Library has you covered. Maker Monday kicked off yesterday. The summer-long event gives kids the chance to explore fun projects they can create and take home a new craft each week. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
We've got ourselves another hot and muggy day. Temperatures upper 80s, low 90s. Pop-up storms this afternoon, and they'll die out once we get into the evening hours, and we'll stay mild, mostly clear to partly cloudy skies. Overnight lows mid to upper 60s. We're dry and hot for most of our Wednesday, lower 90s, thankfully not upper 90s. And then we got better storms Thursday, a little cooler. Pop-up storms through the weekend, mid to upper 80s, and cooler on Monday, highs in the upper 70s.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making lemon ricotta cheesecake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Did you know it's National Dairy Month?
I did not know that, but I know that now.
Yes,
so,
you do.
All right, so yeah, educated every day here. And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Next on CBS Mornings, a remarkable love story as only David Begnaud can tell it. He'll introduce you to high school sweethearts who broke up but rekindled their romance 63 years later.
Aw, that's sweet. Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, Charlene Patton from the Kansas Soybean Commission stops by to show us how to make a sun-dried tomato tofu dip.
Plus, David Grubb stops by to tell us how the MoChip ID program can help your child be identified if something were to happen to them. That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.